Fed up of floor robes, driven to distraction and drowning with doom boxes? Tired of living in chaos? Welcome to Decluttering Untangled, how to declutter when you're overwhelmed, ADHD or autistic. I'm going to help you uncover the secrets to decluttering, no matter what hurdles you face. You'll discover how to declutter, de-stress and transform your world. I'm Heather Tingle, reformed hoarder, neurodivergent declutter queen, and your guide through the maze of mess. Let's get untangled. Hello Untanglers, and welcome to another episode of Decluttering Untangled with me, your host Heather Tingle. So this week I've been thinking about how sometimes trying to be efficient actually causes more problems when we're decluttering, tidying or organising, and it can actually slow down and stall our efforts. We think we're doing something good by trying to be efficient, but actually it can really hold us back. So let me give you a little daft example. So when I nip to the supermarket just to get one thing, and I think to myself, I don't need a basket, I'll be efficient, I'll just grab that one thing really quickly. But then by aisle 3, I've got an armful of stuff, something's slipping, and I've got to hunt for a basket anyway without trying to look like a shoplifter. So that is me trying to be efficient and failing spectacularly. But in our homes, this can happen too. So for example, when I'm home, I'm trying to carry too many things upstairs in one trip because it feels efficient. I end up dropping half of it on the stairs, having to go back and find it while a cat's probably gone and started playing with it. Being efficient isn't always a good thing. And I saw a really good example of this with a one-to-one client this week, which is why I am talking about it on this week's episode. It was really great how they recognised that being efficient wasn't good for them. And it reminded me that I really need to share this with you, my untanglers. So every time we found something in the room that we were working on that belonged somewhere else in the house, they got that one item and took it straight away and put it into that room or the house in the house, or put it where it needed to be. Now, that doesn't look like being efficient. Doesn't look like it's a good use of time, a good use of energy, but actually it was the best way for them as it got done. And they weren't left with piles of stuff to put away later, which they said would find really overwhelming and it would feel like another project for them. So actually being inefficient actually made it easier for them. So some other examples for you is doing things like listing things on eBay or Vinted. So you might think, well, instead of waiting for a huge pile of clothes and then getting them all photographed at the same time and then get them all listed at the same time, which would be the efficient and what they tell you to do, batch your things. That's actually sometimes the worst way to do it. Because although you'd be listing them in one efficient session, which can feel quite intimidating, and also you might struggle with time to fit that in, sometimes just listing one item at a time, so taking the photo, then putting it online, works so much better because it actually gets done when you've got a minute, rather than waiting for this magical period of time where you've got enough time to do it all. And for me, it would be the same with things like washing up. So leaving dishes and mugs to build up so you can do it all in one big wash. So you're not using too much hot water. It sounds like being really efficient. But sometimes all that happens is you end up with really smelly piles, really minging water, and a job that feels much bigger and much more overwhelming than it actually needs to be. Things like laundry. Wait until you've got the perfect full load of a specific colour means clothes pile up. So doing smaller imperfect loads often keeps things more under control. Now I do this because we've got quite a lot of pinks and oranges and I'd like to do those in a different wash from my other colours, but it isn't always the case that I've got a massive full load. So I will run a half load, and I don't even have a half load option on my washing machine. But for me, it's okay. Like I'm allowing myself the grace to do things imperfectly, to do things inefficiently, because that is what is better for me and my life, and to be able to keep on top of it. So if you can do things like that, if you can afford to, and it's not too upsetting regarding like resources, then for example, run the dishwasher twice. Run the dishwasher every day if it is not full. So I'm hoping that you have all heard about the running the dishwasher twice thing. I've just said it and then thought, you might not know. So This is something that I've seen on social media quite a lot, and it is something I wholeheartedly agree with. So if something, for example, feels too hard to scrub and you just leave it and then put it in the dishwasher, it's okay to run the dishwasher twice to get the end result of clean pots and pans if you need, rather than beating yourself up to do it properly by hand washing or rinsing stuff first before putting it in the dishwasher. If that feels too difficult for you, then run the dishwasher twice. Paperwork. How often do you save a load of post or a load of receipts to file in one big block, but that usually means a mountain of unopened envelopes and things to deal with later, which you never get round to. So just dealing with one as you get it avoids the dreaded paper pile of doom. And that is quite a hard thing for us to get our heads around. I think naturally, especially ADHDers, I think we're quite naturally project-based mindset rather than individual thing mindset. We're all or nothing, aren't we? But working on being less efficient, I think, is a really useful way to give yourself some grace and do things in a way that can actually work better for you. For example, how often do you wait until the cardboard and bottle stash become really big and overwhelming before you take them to the bin? How about starting to take them every day you get, every day? Getting into the routine of just taking what's there when you leave the house, for example, rather than creating a big disaster area in your kitchen corner. You can take them out as you go. We might find that easier. One thing I see quite frequently as well is things like toys, crafts, or tools, leaving them all out until you can do a big tidy up later. But then that never happens, or it happens in such a rush where you're just shoving things wherever you can shove them because someone's coming around. Or if you've got a project out, you think, but it's not a good use of time to put it all back because you'll be putting it back out again. You'll be taking it all out. It feels like you're making more hard work for yourself. But actually, if you tidy it away, you're giving yourself that lovely clean space to use. And we all know that we think, we'll be all in on it. And then it might be like 3 weeks before we go back all in on it. So you would have enjoyed that clear space for 3 whole weeks before you got the stuff out again. So don't always think that you have to keep things out. Keeping things, tidying them back up again can work really well. And then your wardrobe. So you think, my wardrobe's waiting. I need to declutter it at some point. I really need to do a big whole, transformation. That can feel great, can feel efficient, but it can feel quite overwhelming and time sensitive. So taking out one not quite right top as you notice it is a far gentler approach and can still work really well, especially if you've got like a donate box or bag somewhere you can take it straight to. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be a big transformation. This isn't going to totally sort your wardrobe out overnight. But if you imagine every time you go to pick something up, you think, actually, I didn't really like wearing those. I'm going to always go for the other ones. Then that's an item that can probably go. So let it go. Don't just think, I'll remember that when I go to declutter it, because you'll probably forget anyway. But just get rid of it now. And it's the same with things like if you've got like returns to do, saving all the parcels for one efficient trip to the post office or locker means that they sit in the hallway until it's too late to send them back. One bag at a time is sometimes better. And it's the same with donations. So don't wait until you've got 15 massive charity bags full of stuff to take them to the charity shop. In fact, a lot of the times I'm sure the charity shop is much happier just getting a little bag of stuff, to be truthful with you. So wait until you've got a car full. Sounds really efficient. But meanwhile, they block up your spare room or your hallway or your bedroom and get in the way. Dropping one small carrier bag off when you're passing is far easier. First of all, just to nip out the car or get off the bus or a quick walk and drop one item off that isn't that heavy compared to 10 bags of stuff. Yeah, you might feel like you're doing a better job if you get rid of that much, but a little bit will still add up in the long run. And it's the same with things like cleaning and vacuuming. Leaving the Hoover in the hall until you can do the whole house just makes it a trip hazard, let's face it. Sometimes it's easier to just do that one room as you see it, or just that one cobweb when you see it. You see that little thing and you just think, I've just dropped this on the floor and I'll need to Hoover the entire room. No, just Hoover that one little bit and then put it away and feel okay that it's like you've done a little something rather than turn it into a bigger job. So I hope that gives you permission to do things a little differently, to do things less efficiently. And that's what will help you, then do it. So until next time, remember you're not alone, be kind to yourself and keep untangling. Thanks for joining me for today's episode of Decluttering Untangled. If you found anything that I've said today helpful, please do me a favour. hit that subscribe button or leave me a review. It's like receiving a virtual high five that keeps me going and lets me know that I'm helping real people out there and I'm making a difference. Please remember, you're not alone in this. I'm building a community of fellow untanglers over on Facebook. Just visit the show notes for the link to my free decluttering community. So until next time, remember, you're not alone, you're not lazy, you can untangle your life.